I am a luchador wrestler traveling on the road and get ready to go home. Back to Mexico while going home. Stopped by the store and heard on the news about a killer putting pentagram on their bodies. From stopping, another small town killing has happened again with 2 women being scalped. Then getting to the next town again, but this time a young boy has been drowned and his throat slit. While getting closer to home, I said, "This is getting crazy." When finally getting home, I opened the door and noticed I didn't see my dog to greet me as before. I find that very odd, so I went to look around but couldn't find my dog. I said, okay, I will look again tomorrow, as I was tired after all those wrestling matches back in the United States. So I brush my teeth and shower, and get ready to get into bed. When going to bed, I feel something wet on my bed. I finally turn on the lights to get a better look. Then I scream in terror, noticing it is blood. Seeing gray hair the color of my dog, I look up at my ceiling with bloodstains dripping. Above is where my attic is. I open my closet, pull down the hatch, and climb up the ladder leading to my attic. Got my baseball bat to use as a weapon and my flashlight since my attic has no lights to turn on, so it is very dark. I notice my dog's body has been cut up with its insides open, and my dog's head is on a ritual-like table with a pentagram on the floor with small candles. Then I saw a shadow-like figure charging at me, pushing me to the ground, but with me being a wrestler, I was able to fight him. While beating him and looking at him, I notice he has no mouth and eyes black as the night. There is a saying, when you have black eyes, you're possessed by the demonic. While still fighting him and defending myself, he was strong, but I was able to defeat him using my own strength and beating him with the baseball bat. The demon-possessed man was dead, and when it was over, I finally called the police. As they told me, this was the man they were looking for, the killer that had been killing people in different towns. When it was over, I left the house and decided to buy a smaller house. Next time, I will set cameras and alarms for that extra security. Also, check my camera on my phone every time I travel outside of Mexico, or even in Mexico, just in case.
As I walk up to the attic to see where this blood is coming from, I notice my dog is dead. His head is on a ritual-like table, and his body has been cut up from the inside and out. A shadow-like figure of a man charges at me. I was able to fight him with my wrestling skills and beat him with my bat. Then I look at his wrestling mask. He has the same mask as me, and what is even crazier is when I pull off his mask. He has the same face as me. I was told by the killer with the same face that he wanted to be famous like me. As the killer told me his story, I learned he was my long-lost twin brother. He had been taken away for killing his classmates who bullied him. To avoid jail, he was placed in a mental asylum, and my family never spoke of him again. They erased his existence because he brought shame to the family. I was ready to tie him up, but he used the rope to try to kill me, wrapping it around my neck. With my wrestling and martial arts skills, I fought back, thinking only of surviving. Without realizing it, I killed him with a sleeper hold. He passed out and wasn't breathing. I called the cops and EMS to remove the body. I told the police what happened, and they confirmed he was my twin brother and the killer they were looking for. After that horrific experience, I called my family to let them know what had happened. Once it was all over, I retired from wrestling and decided to become a bounty hunter, to stop people like my evil brother. Finally home from wrestling in the States, and after hearing about those killings from one town to another in Mexico when heading home, I called out to my family and noticed a note on the fridge saying they went out to the city of Mexico to visit their grandpa. I wanted to be with my family, but I was so tired. I went upstairs, went straight to bed, lights still off, and didn't want them on. Then I felt something wet and mushy on my bed, with a funny smell of rotten flesh. I decided to turn on the light. In terror, I saw the dead body of my wife and cried out, "Melissa! Melissa!" in anger and sadness. Her body was cut up just like the ones I heard about in the town, with a pentagram on her forehead. I cried in pain, seeing my daughter on her bed, her head scalped. Then I went to the bathroom and saw my son drowned in the bathtub, with no eyes. I shouted, "What the hell is going on? Who has done this?" Anger surged through me as I checked all over the house to see if the one who killed my family was hiding and waiting. But then I heard sirens, and the police broke through the door, telling me to freeze and to stay down. I didn't understand. I pleaded with the police, telling them someone killed my family and to go find the killer. I begged them, "Please help me." Then the police said I was under arrest of the local people of the town I have passed by. As the police got video footage saying you were the one that killed those people, and even worse of all, you even killed your own family, the way you will the people of the town. They took me to prison, and my doctor told me you should have never been out, as my medical record shows you have mental illness and were a psychopath. Remember? I never took my medicine and laughed with evil, having a dark side I tried to avoid but it never left. Now I live in the darkest parts of the prison until the day of my execution.
Today I'll be telling you a story of my story. Let me tell you my profession first. I am a luchador wrestler. I want to withhold my name and withhold the company I work for. This happens 12 years ago. A story I never told, but I feel like I need to tell this story to let this out my chest once and for all. Why I'm telling this story now? Because, well, I have a medical condition, and I feel like if something happens to me, if I have to go to the next light, I rather have this story be told. Well, anyway, it all started when I was finishing up a show in Las Vegas, and it's time to go home to my home country in Mexico. Driving by myself, I have no other wrestlers with me to take home. Most of my Mexican wrestlers, there was a wrestling show in Las Vegas, decided to stay for one more day. Enjoy the Las Vegas nightlife. Me, I was tired pretty much. So as I drove up the dark road in Mexico, and when you drive home at night in Mexico, it gets kind of scary. For me, it's like I'm so used to strange stuff happening to me. I survived gunshots, stabbings from fans, who crazy wrestling fans pretty much. I've been through a lot of fights, real fights, not just wrestling shows, but real life fights. So I've been through a lot of crazy shit and meet a lot of crazy people. So I'm pretty much used to weird stuff. So you hear a lot of stories in Mexico about the supernatural and about the witness, but to me, growing up, it was always like fairy tales in a way. Like how you Americans have your nursery rhymes or three bears with Goldilocks type of story, Snow White and the Witch. To us Mexicans, we have our own creepy stories too. But anyway, when I went to one town, buying some food because I was hungry, I heard stories from locals. I even saw it in the newspaper from the stand about some kind of creature, a man, but he's like big and saying this man is witness to kill people with his bare hands, you know, and leave a mark of satanic pentagram. To me, when I hear this type of story, it was like, well, what else is new? Somebody will get this nutcase, right? As I drove off from the station, I go to the next town, and guess what? I'm hearing another story about some two ladies that been scalped to death. I'm like, scalped to death? I'm like, this is weird. Then I left, wondering what's going on. 2 towns passed me by, and I'm hearing about 2 deaths already. So anyway, when I drove off, I went to the third town, and I hear from more locals another killing just happened. And this time, a child been drowned. I'm like, okay. But not only the child drowned, it got into more detail about this child. Not only he drowned, but his eyeballs and his intestines been pulled out. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I never had this type of experience. I was driving the same road, so for so many years, from going to America to back to Mexico, and I never hear anything like this. So then, when I drove off, I'm like, okay, I hope this doesn't. Hope I don't hear no scary stories like that again, you know. And the stories are true pretty much because, it's in the newspaper. But still a scary story. I'm hearing this shit from one town to another town, and it's like different deaths. So anyway, I got home. So fine, good to be home. Opening my door, and I live by myself with my dog, a beautiful pit bull, very gorgeous, dog, and very smart. Lock my door, put my bags down, but the one thing that was funny is this: I did not hear my dog bark. My dog didn't even greet me. So I went around the house looking, you know. I never leave my dog outside. My dog is always inside. And, did you see my dog? I said maybe my dog's always sleeping, maybe by the corner. What? I mean, I do have a lot of junk in the house, piling around. But that's how I'll look tomorrow morning. Brush my teeth. I decided to take my hot shower, and then I went to bed. The funny thing is, I felt something wet in my bed. I got up, turned the lights. When I went to my bedroom, I leave my lights off. But I should have turned on the lights anyway because maybe I would have noticed something, the wetness on my bed. I'm like, I know I ain't pee on myself, and maybe it's my dog. So I thought maybe my dog was next to me on my bed, right? But what I can say, when I turn on the lights, I scream in terror, in fear, knowing that this is fucking blood. And I'm seeing like hair, like gray hair, and that's the color of my dog, gray. So wait a minute, is my dog bleeding? What the hell's going on? And then I look up in the ceiling, and I'm seeing like blood stains slowly dripping. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I went to my closet where my attic is, but then I have my baseball bat in the corner also. So I have a baseball bat to use as a weapon. I walked upstairs with my flashlight. My attic's pretty dark though. There's no lights to turn that for attic lights, but I do have a flashlight. So as I spot the lights, I notice blood trails, and I saw my dog right there dead. Just the head is cut off, and the intestines pulled off. And then some man, strong man, charged right behind me on the ground. But thanks to me being a wrestler, I know how to defend myself. And I turned around, looking at the man, and he has like no mouth, no fucking mouth, and his eyes are filled with darkness, like this guy's possessed, you know. And there's old saying about a man with dark eyes, meaning he's possessed by the demonic, the satanical. And I'm like, this can't be for real. And I kept struggling, wrestling against him, but he was so strong. And thanks to my baseball bat, I was able to take him down with my skills and the baseball bat to beat him down. And once I beat him down, he was pretty much dead because he ended up bleeding and he wasn't moving. And then I called the cops. They come in and I told them of what happened. And they said, this is the man we have been looking for. The serial killer that have been killing people from different towns. Did I just save different towns from different victims against a serial killer just now? So I mean, it will not happen again. And I'm shocked and terror that this all happened suddenly. Well, after the situation, and saddened by the death of my dog, I decided to move out the house. And I think I better stick in a small house this time. And well, what can I say about this story? Just be very, very careful. Because when you hear local stories, you don't know if it's going to come to you or not. But still, be cautious.